There's an article here. You know what? I'll bring it up. We'll bring it up, right? This article was written, right? It says, how did Larian Studios make Baldur's Gate 3 without a big publisher? I'll tell you. They made games and they sold those games. And when they sold those games, they took that money and invested back into the games that they created, right? I haven't even read the article yet. So it says, if you check out the Steam page for Baldur's Gate 3, you'll be something strange. Both the developer and the publisher are listed as Larian Studio. And now Baldur's Gate 3 was a low-budget isometric RPG that would make more sense, but Baldur's Gate 3 is a huge, in a way, a few games are. The game has 17,000 ending variations. That's fucking amazing, okay? Features 174 hours of cutscene. Its script is 2 million words long. All the dialogues are voiced and graphics look gorgeous and help quite a bit hype the market surrounding it. Most revealing is that more than 400 people working on it. By all accounts, this is a AAA mega game. So how has Larian Studios managed to make something so big all by itself without the help of some big publisher? Well, let's try to explain Larian Studios management by bypass one of the biggest obstacles of gaming development, the money-hungry publisher, and the deliverer of something that's frankly puts most of them to shame, okay? We talk about this all the time, okay? A short story for Larian Studio. Larian Studios was founded in Belgium in 1996 with a guy called Vic. He's the mastermind behind Larian's success and someone who has been with the game industry for more than 20 years. He seems pretty chill, upbeat, humorous. Larian Studios' first game has Divine Divinity, published in 2002. Divine Divinity was also a combination of Ultima's 7 world design with Diablo 2's combat and level up system. If you know anything about these two games, you'll know that was a killer combination, and Larian managed to make the best of it. Now, to this day, Divine Divinity, Jesus, remains one of the most beloved cult classes amongst RPG fans, and the beautiful soundtrack, lovely world design, and excellent pacing. Even though Divinity was telling a serious story, it was always carried a certain whimsical and humor has also been a landmark of Larian Studios games since then. Larian Studios' style of humor is fitting a reflection of his personality, and after Divinity, Larian made Beyond Divinity, published in 2004, which was what's more linear spin-off of the game. Although Beyond Divinity was also a unique game that's also time-charming and predecessor. Okay? It did not spend enough time in the oven and undercooked in many aspects, but the most glaring undercooked element was the game's weird RPG progression system, which featured a lot of useless skills and stats. Now, the game's uneven difficulty exacerbated its problem, but the game could become unbearably frustrating if you didn't level up the right way. Now, after Beyond Divinity, Larian started working on educational games such as Children's 2004 and 2011, probably the way that they stay afloat for gaming company to provide enough money to make proper sequel of Divinity, okay? So it says the work was a sequel started in 2006, and the game had a clear hook and inception. The player could also turn into a dragon. After 3 years of development and the sequel was published, Divinity 2, Ego Dragones, 2009, a part of the Dracon hook. Divinity 2 was a standard third-person action RPG experience, was also popular at the time. And this game played consistently questing, taking NPCs, and exploring the world. He always wears pseudo armor? That's pretty cool. Divinity 2 Ego Draconius was published in rushed state and received less than an ideal reception, but the game's underperformance left Larian in debt. And then they get out of it, the studio envisioned 2 projects, Project E, which later became Divinity Original Sin, and Project D, which also became Divinity Dragon's Commander. At first, Divinity Dragon's Commander was an RTS spin-off, and was supposed to be a bigger game between the two, and Original Sin being a small traditional RPG, but the development process of Larian Studios put everything that they had in the Original Sin, even taking resources from Dragon's Commander to finish the game by 2013. Thanks to Kickstarters, okay, Larian was able to crowdfund the game and raise $1 million, and the goal of a Kickstarter was to make it possible to expand the scope of the game with $1 million in the game's budget, approximately 4 million euros. Original Sin, published in June of 2014, after the game delayed, went to become very successful both among critics and fans, and it became Larian's fastest-selling game, basically saved the studio from collapsing. Imagine making a game and then selling a game. And Original Sin had failed, then that would likely mark the end of Larian. And that's the risk you take. And this is why I have respect for game companies that take the risk, okay? It's not handed to you on a silver platter. Nothing in life is handed to you on a silver platter, okay? However, Divinity Original Sin 2, published in 2017, and Larian Studios truly hit the jackpot and became a studio capable of making something like Baldur's Gate 3 by itself. It was after the game that Wizards of the Coast became confident in their ability to handle Baldur's Gate 3, because before OS2, there was applied to for that job, and they rejected it on the account being too inexperienced. How did Larian went from being indie studio to a juggernaut, okay? Before making Original Sins 2, Larian Studios only had 40 employees during the development of Original Sin 2, and the studio expanded to 130 members and 4 international branches, sorry. Original Sin 2 also had widely successful Kickstarter, raising over $2 million and reaching a stretch goal so fast that they even specific, yet in some cases, according to Larian, that they were able to fund the game by themselves. Still, the feedback of the backers was important to them, and they wanted to utilize it in much as a possible during the development. In an interview with Eurogamer, Sween also said the original Sins 2 sold 3 times more than original Sins 1, and in GDC talk in 2019, he reported that original Sins 1 had sold 2.5 million copies. So that would take the account, that means that 2 sold 7.5 million copies, and these numbers are probably even higher in 2023. Thanks to Kickstarter, excellent management, imagine that, excellent management. Okay, we always talk about this with the studios. Looking at you, Bungie. Looking at you, Battlefield 2042. Looking at you, CD Projekt Red. Okay, Larian managed to publish both OS 1 and OS 2 by itself and only used the help of Focus Home Interactive and Bandai Namco to publish the console versions of DS1 and DS2, respectively. This means that royalties of OS 1 and OS 2, at least for the PC version, the main platform, went to Larian itself. Okay, Larian and hallmark of a good financial management. Okay? In a way, the story of Larian is similar to the Polish counterpart, CD Projekt Red. Both were small European companies founded in hardcore gamers, working on a small scale in the first, and then expanding to unimaginability, thanking to making high-quality games and also using Europe's low comprehensive development costs and advantages. Both CD Projekt Red, Larian Studios have published AAA quality mega games without the publisher. In the case of CD Projekt, easier to explain how they managed to do so after The Witcher 1, which Atari published. CD Projekt Red founded a distribution platform and called GOG.com. GOG sold fan-favorite old games with DRM, and remains Steam's most successful, respected competitor today, and GOG provided all the revenue CD Projekt needed to fund games including The Witcher 2, Witcher 3, and Cyberpunk 2077. Now, Larian does not have a platform like GOG. All it had were the royalties of OS 1 and OS 2, which were a lot, but not enough to fund a huge game like Baldur's Gate 3, especially considering the game's unusual long 6-year development. Now, the COVID pandemic in Russia and Ukraine were also war and also made causes for long development times. In the case of the war, Larian and a branch of Russia also had to shut it down after the war. So Larian decided to do something a few companies had done, selling an early access version of the game in 2020, 3 years before the full game release, and the early access contained the first chapter of the game, which translated to 25 hours of playtime. Usually outside the indie game sphere, studios do not sell early access versions of the game, so early access could be because it leaves a not quite good first impressions of anyone who played it. Also, people might also accuse the developer of using them to free beta testers, but Larian had a goodwill of the gaming community. That's a big portion. Goodwill, as we talked about earlier in the podcast. So they knew they could afford sell fractured of the game and expect people to show up and buy it without review bombing it, as you can see. Now, having good reputation of a track record can go a long way. Baldur's Gate 3 early access version sold well, provided valuable sources of feedback in Larian, and for the game to be as big as Baldur's Gate 3, the player feedback and bug report was essential of the game design itself. Although the save files of early access versions are not transferable to the main game, many people were just happy to provide feedback for Larian needed to play the full price of the game of $60. Will be doing it. Another savvy decision of Larian was also to make deals with Google to publish the game on Stadia's alongside PC. Although Google Stadia died before DOA game's release, the deal happened on Studio's financial at the time. Now, finally, it was very important to allow Larian to become what it is today. The most company shares its own, and then also his wife, the owner and his wife, history have shown that every time the game developer starts playing fast and loose, the shares of the company, they start losing control of the company. The people who do not care about it and ultimately destroy it. Okay, and this is a huge market. This is the situation that Bungie's in, right? Okay, Vince never did that. Even when the company was going through tough time, he also resisted being bought by bigger companies like Microsoft, saying that such propositions are always flattering. But even though I'm getting older, I'm certainly not done yet. So while the numerous elements of contribute to Baldur's Gate 3's success, the most fundamental reason behind the success was the most of its shares were owned by its founders and passionate gamers and a great leader who cares about making a great game more than anything. Baldur's Gate 3 could not be made by Sween if his team and his answers of the publisher's demand, which were prioritize investors' happiness above all else. I got chills reading that because I might go, like the Kinger said on the podcast the other day, I might go buy it a second time. I might go buy it on Xbox. I might not ever play it, okay, on Xbox, but I might go buy it a second time, okay? Conclusion, Baldur's Gate 3 is so good that some of the developers feel threatened by the quality of the game have gone to record, stating that Baldur's Gate 3 should not raise the industry standard and consumers' expectations, okay? The consumers' expectations are set by them, right? And what the developers don't like is that Larian Studios put so much content in the game that, my example as always, here's the bar and you just go past it a little bit. Larian Studios shot past it so much that now this is what they think the bar is set. But really, all they did was hit this bar. Gaming in the last decade, you thought was this high, but it really was this low, right? And they're trying to creep back up to this point, and Larian said, F you, this is what gaming should be, okay? This is what you should get for the money that you pay for, and everyone else is like, You can't expect that. You can't expect that. So as a creator under unique conditions and other developers cannot keep up, IGN has explored this topic in one of the recent videos, arguing why is the line of thinking is this incorrect? The fact that Larian Studios has managed to achieve such a high quality high level of quality is truly astonishing. Is it? Did they go above being astonishing, or did they just make a game, right? The standards as a testament of Sween, exceptional leadership skills, and the more independent Larian became, the better it became. Larian Studios should serve as the model for all game developers founded in smaller countries, all right? It's also operated with being overshadowed by investors or shareholders and their times-tempting offers. You have the opportunity to develop your studio in a way to desire perhaps someday. You can attain the same level of quality as Larian. All you can say is that you have someone that Sween Vikian is wise to retain the majority of the shares and resisting selling out and your destination for great. And all of that, all I hear is make a game, sell a game. Make a game, sell a game, okay? This is how a company, right? And I like to put it into a little perspective now, right? Hello Games is almost doing the exact same thing now, right? But the reason they had the opportunity is because they had an investor of Sony to make the game put out. The game fell short, but it sold so many copies when it came out, No Man's Sky, that they made so much money that they can now fund themselves and make games for themselves because they made so much money from that. Larian Studios now, because they're making so much money from Baldur's Gate, because they're selling so many copies, because it's a game, okay, that they might have financial freedom like Epic did once they worked 7 years on Fortnite, and Fortnite bombed. Save the world, Fortnite bombed. 3 months, they did a switch, turned it to Battle Royale, and the rest is history. And Epic Games was then had to make enough money where they could make their own Epic's launcher, and now they can do whatever they want. They're buying companies up. This is that moment for Larian Studios. They made this game and it paid off because they made a game. So now the expectations are not going to be high. They have a lot of goodwill. A lot of goodwill. So 6 years from now, if they make Baldur's Gate 4 or whatever they have in the next realm that they're going to make, they're going to have this really, really great goodwill and fan base that's coming with them, okay? And now they've set the bar. They don't have to overshoot the bar like they did, right? All they got to do is just take whatever they had in Baldur's Gate 3 and just a little bit more, right? You don't have to run the mile in a minute and then run the mile in 30 seconds. You can run the mile in like 59 seconds and be better than you did last time. So I love this. I love that Larian Studios, this is happening to them, right? It shows that if you just are passionate about something and you're not greedy, you believe in what you're doing and you make a game, the game will sell. Make a game, sell a game. What's good management? I bought it and only put 11 hours in. I'm going to play it eventually. Water, this is no reflection to the game. I have 11 and a half hours into it, and I put it down because other games came out, right? But it's a fun, the 11 and a half hours I played, fantastic. Elsa, same with Elden Ring. I would Baldur's Gate action adventure set in the vein of Diablo, like fighting system. Oh my God, the hours I would put into that. I am amazed that they're, like what they said in the opening thing here, right? 17,000 ending variation. Like what? Right? 17,000 endings. Even if you save the game, let's just say it was like the very end of the game. There's like 17,000 variations and you saved scum, reloaded, try a different version. You know how long it would take you just to finish the ending of that game? The business model worked. They didn't take advantage of the consumer. And this is why they're threatened. Yeah. And right now, I love the fact that they came out, Sarge, and said, okay, I'm glad they came out and said, don't buy the scalpers games that are out there. This is not a fear of missing out. You could buy the deluxe edition anytime you want, and this is the price. So don't buy it anywhere else. Oh, Alien, I appreciate you as I go through puberty here. Thank you for submitting that. It's back from August, but I appreciate you submitting it because I never found it. Now look at it, right? Now look at it. Now it's Game of the Year. I'm sure it'll win Game of the Year in BAFTA or even the DICE Awards as well. Hell, forget Game of the Year. It's Best RPG, right? And not only is it forget the fake VG, the video game awards. This game is setting a precedent for RPGs and video games everywhere, which is sad because it shouldn't have made this much of a wave. This is just a game. We're so shocked because we've been getting scraps for so many years that when an actual game comes out, we're like, this is amazing. There's so much stuff in this game. You could tell they loved it as the devs, 17,000 variations of the ending. That's crazy. Don't go over this now, but go to GXG News and look at the newest article. You'll all laugh. All right, I will. Hold on 1 second. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll talk about that tonight. Like, good. The Final Edition is amazing, and the amount of planning for this type of freedom, no other production team is worthy. I just think, look, I'm not knocking Larian Studios down a peg, right? I'm not knocking it down a peg in any way, shape, or form. I just think that everyone, like I said, is starving so much because we've been getting these live service games. We've been getting so many games that are broke buggy, unfinished, that when a game comes out, and there are little problems with this, they did put patches in this to make it a better game, thousands and thousands of bug fixes in Baldur's Gate, but it was so above and beyond anything that we've gotten, but not above and beyond what it used to be. Does that make sense? Like, if gaming was here in the past, but now we forget because we have goldfish brains, and now the new standards down here, when Larian came out with a game back to normal, everyone's like, this is amazing, right? And we think it's a much better game than what we used to get, but really it's just a game that we used to get, and not saying that it's not a great game. It is a fantastic game. The storytelling, the writing, the graphics, the combat systems, the amount of things that you can do in the game. You can literally do anything you want in the game, right? You can literally do anything you want in the game. It's a true RPG, right? It's not a dialogue where no matter what you pick, okay, it's going to come out to the same answer. It's not what Bethesda is doing with Fallout and with Starfield. Literally every choice that you make in Baldur's Gate is a different outcome. God, it's so infuriating that what we get, and we're okay with it. And the answer to all of this is when a game comes out broken, buggy, and unfinished, everyone's like, well, I'm having fun. That's not the point. You can have fun, but have integrity. Like, you can have fun and the game can be better at start, not you paying full price, right? Like the analogies we make with anything, any other industry, pay full price and get half-assed stuff. Buy your groceries. Oh, but you'll get the rest of the groceries throughout the 6 months, but I'm hungry now. You gotta wait, right? My car gets to get fixed. Pay all the money up front now, and we'll fix it over the next 18 months. Buy some dinner at a restaurant. We're only giving you the side portion now, and come back 6 days from now, come back 10 months from now, and we'll give you the steak. Like, but I'm having fun. I'm eating those fries, man. I'm having fun, right? And I'm here, like, yelling because you can have your fries and steak and car and everything else and still have fun, and you can have a better game. But we don't want better games. We want, give me now, and I'll fix it later. And then you look at Game Pass and go, well, Game Pass is the downfall of gaming. No, Game Pass is not the downfall of gaming. Gamers are the downfall of gaming because we keep buying stuff that's incomplete, and Microsoft is over here going, yeah, we have incomplete games too, but we're asking you for $10, not $70. Are any of you guys or girl, any of you people playing Baldur's Gate 3? You still playing Baldur's Gate 3? If you're not, that means it's a wash. They should just close up shop. If no one's playing it, you just gotta, if you're not playing it right now, then it's just a wash. I don't know how they're going to recover.